Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Nalo, and today we're going to be once again talking about Paris. I know a lot of you are probably extremely tired about hearing about Paris. Personally, I kind of am too. For this video though, what I wanted to do was sort of contextualize Paris and give everybody an idea of how Paris compares to the rest of the market. I think this is really valuable information because it kind of gives some historical context to where Paris should be and how far away it is from that. So anyway, we'll get into that after a word from our sponsor, GamerPay. By the way, this is the last ad with GamerPay for now, and seriously, they have a banger site with an incredible fee structure and a lot of super cheap skins. You should definitely check them out. This video is sponsored by GamerPay, the best place to buy and sell CSGO items. So the first and most important thing that you need to know about GamerPay right now is that they actually have 0% fees using the GamerPay wallet, which means you can trade your items out on GamerPay completely for free. Another super cool feature of GamerPay that I absolutely love is the ability to get a 3D shop, which allows buyers to check out all of the items that you're selling on GamerPay in an environment which lets you kind of view what the item would look like in game. GamerPay also has a lot of settings to improve your experience. For example, you can compare items on GamerPay to their buff prices, which I really like. When you're checking out an item, you can see a full breakdown of all of the qualities of the item and the seller, and you can even get some chances to win some items just by completing some tasks on the website. It's really easy to buy and withdraw items from GamerPay. Just find the item you want, do the trade offer, then boom, the item is in your inventory, ready for you to go use and flex on your silver teammates. But besides all those really cool features, you should definitely be using GamerPay right now just because of their fee structure alone. 0% fees for buyers and sellers using the GamerPay wallet is a great deal and puts GamerPay ahead of so many other markets. Speaking of sellers, there's a myriad of great features for you as well. For example, you can make the items that you have listed follow the buff price of the items so you don't have to monitor them as much. You can also view the analytics of certain items to see how they're performing. So with all these great features and more, it's really a no-brainer. You can visit GamerPay using my link in the description below. So when it comes to comparing Paris to other majors, one of the places that a lot of people might start is Stockholm, but I do want to bring up that Stockholm is actually fundamentally quite a bit different than Paris. While they are both borderless and Stockholm has some of the only sort of Paris carbon copies, it's very important to point out that Stockholm has an entirely different structure for getting holo stickers. Stockholm features foil stickers, which Paris doesn't even have. Stockholm doesn't have glitter stickers, and while Stockholm is still borderless, since it does have a lot of these discrepancies, it's not really going to be a perfect thing to compare Paris to. For example, I would actually argue that Paris holos have a better chance to rise to higher prices than Stockholm holos are currently valued at. And the reason for this is because holos are a lot more rare from Paris. When you open a Stockholm capsule, you have about a 1 in 6 chance of getting a holo. But when you open a Paris capsule, that chance is about 1 in 31, which means that when a capsule is opened, there's about a 5 times higher chance that you get a holo from the Stockholm capsule versus the Paris capsule. Now, I don't think the market will see the effects of this discrepancy right away, mostly because Stockholm is already in much lower supply than Paris is, but I think as time goes on and Paris capsules get more and more expensive, this discrepancy in their drop rate should really start to show its effects. And the same logic goes for Antwerp as well, because Antwerp also has the same breakdown. And that actually helps me transition into the next point, which is about Antwerp. So just to get the elephant out of the room, Antwerp stickers are generally seen as the worst variant of the last 3 borderless sticker releases. I think currently most people rate Paris as the best looking, Stockholm as the second best looking, and then Antwerp as the worst looking. And don't get me wrong, they all still look very good though, so I take it with a grain of salt. They each have their stickers that really stand out from the rest. But beyond that, Antwerp actually poses an interesting opportunity. You see, at the moment, in terms of buying an investment into something, Antwerp is not nearly as expensive as Stockholm. Right now, an Antwerp Legends capsule, which is the most expensive of the team capsules, will run you about $1.50 on the Steam market. Stockholm Challengers capsules, which are the most expensive team capsule from Stockholm, are going to run you around 5 times that, so Antwerp definitely has a lot lower barrier of entry. The other nice thing about Antwerp is that now that it's been out for a while and people have mass opened it so much, the listed supply numbers are still quite a lot higher than Stockholm, but they are a lot lower than Paris. So generally speaking, Antwerp actually seems like a pretty good move here. It's cheaper than Stockholm, has the same drop rates as Paris, and has a lot lower supply than Paris. But that aside, let's go ahead and get into the main point of this video, which is contextualizing Paris. So if you look at the most expensive team holo from Paris at the moment, it's currently sitting around $17. Now that is an absolutely crazy number, and let me tell you why. If we look back at Antwerp, which once again has the same drop rates from its capsules as Paris does, the Cloud9 holo, which is the most expensive holo from Antwerp, was at the time of the sale going for around $3. This means the most expensive team holo from Paris is about 6 times more expensive than the most expensive team holo from Antwerp was. That's a pretty insane statistic when you think about it. Since the Cloud9 holo was the most expensive, that means that every other team holo was less than $3. Looking at Paris, $3 is actually on the low end for holo prices, and there are plenty that are either close to or above $10 as well. It's hard to give the exact math on this, but generally speaking, Paris is about 3 to 4 times more expensive than Antwerp, in terms of holo team stickers at least, which I think is one of the best analytical points for contextualizing Paris, because the capsules are of course infinitely available, so their aftermarket prices aren't going to be anything insane, and holos have very high liquidity and demand. So given how expensive Paris holos are, what exactly does this mean for the future of Paris? Well, for starters, it means that the holos could be overpriced. Keep in mind we are in a pretty irrational market in general, so looking at this in terms of it being overpriced or not is a little silly, but it does go to show that speculatively, Paris holos have a significant amount of risk behind them. Again, we have a very rational market in CSGO. It's totally possible that these holos just continue to increase in price, but in context, they look very risky. Now, like I've mentioned before, I actually think that the current holo prices actually supports a different type of investing from Paris. The capsules are in a fantastic position here. With the ROI being so high on the capsules, and the holos being able to hold their price levels and actually increase from them over time, there's a very good chance that once the capsules go off sale, they will absolutely skyrocket in price. Mostly to try and normalize the ROI numbers that currently exist. We've had about 100% ROI in these capsules for a long time now, and it's very unlikely that that is going to be sustainable for any long period of time. So generally speaking, it seems that capsules have a lot lower risk than the holos from Paris, but a ton of people are investing into the capsules, of course, so we'll have to see how that plays out after the capsules get removed from the endgame store. Now on that note, I also wanted to point out something that I think is a little bit interesting in terms of Paris's price movement. So one thing that was going around in the CS community for a while was the Valve store page, which showed that the Paris sale was going to end on a certain date. That date has now come That date has now come to pass, and the Paris capsules are still on sale, and coincidentally, a lot of the Paris holos actually rose quite a bit once that date came and went. What I think that potentially shows is how many new investors we have in the market. Paris was huge for a ton of YouTube channels that had no idea what they were talking about to try and start making a following in the investing scene. I think that put a lot of new eyes on CSGO investing, and I think it's a lot of the reason why Paris is such an anomaly. Since then, though, a lot of those channels have sort of died off, and a lot of the hype that existed for Paris initially is kind of gone now. But despite that, Paris holo prices have pretty much only gone up, which really only adds to the anomaly that this has already become. So I think this video was a little bit more all over the place. Paris is very weird. There's a lot of random, pretty inexplicable things happening to it that don't have any historical precedent. So I kind of just wanted to discuss Paris a bit more and put into context how crazy it actually is. I think I'm still going to stick with my take on my most recent Paris video, which is that I think that the holos will either stay stagnant or only slightly decline. I don't see them skyrocketing in price. It could definitely still happen. Again, it's weird. But I think the more likely thing that'll happen is that the capsules will just rise up a lot to kind of normalize the ROI, and then the holo prices will stay relatively close to the same. That's just my guess though. Again, no historical precedent here. Follow whatever you think is right. At this point, it's basically anybody's game. But yeah, that's pretty much going to sum up everything that I wanted to talk about. A little bit more of a discussion video, I guess.
Like the video, sub for more, DM me for help, for free, and check out Gamer Pay Precious.